So I live in a really small town. It's called Akron, Colorado. It's very rural. The population is about 1,800. So my graduating class was about 33.
33 students total.
Yeah, in my graduating class, yes.
Okay. Is that pretty common for schools around this area?
We're actually considered bigger for our area. So I think common is about 20 students per class.
So to give other people just a feel, when it comes to something like Walmart, how far do you have to drive to go to a Walmart or big box store like that?
About 45 minutes is our closest.
Do you have a local grocery store?
We do, and that works most of the time for what we need.
Okay. And what about the next school? Like, a lot of people choose to go to a different school if they don't like the school that's working for them. If we chose to send you to a different school, how far would you have to go at the minimum?
About 15 minutes to Otis.
Okay. About 15 miles approximately.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can you tell everybody what college you're attending now and what your major is?
Yeah, so I'm attending the University of Wyoming, and I'm actually majoring in molecular biology.
What do you want to do with that?
I am hoping to pursue a career in gene therapy.
Okay. So for people who don't know necessarily, give me a brief description. What is gene therapy?
So it's actually using genetic engineering to tamper with a person's genome, trying to fix any kind of disorders they may have or disabilities. So you can use this for like mental disabilities like autism, depression even, or anxiety. They're looking into that. Or you could try helping people with like physical disabilities, so like people who are paralyzed or can't, things like that.
Okay, that was a good description. All right, so let's go back to high school. Can you give examples of what science and math classes were available to you in high school? So let's start with science. What science classes were available to you in high school?
Okay, so in high school, I took general biology and chemistry. Integrated science was also an option. That's just kind of a mixture of chemistry and biology for people who weren't quite ready for chemistry. And then the college level classes, I had nutrition and medical terminology, and that's what I took. And then biology, college biology was also available.
Okay, and what about for your math classes?
I had a few more options there. I had Algebra 2, and then I moved on to trigonometry and geometry. And I also ended up taking college algebra and statistics.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to take calculus?
I was, but I chose not to. So I took pre-calculus instead.
Okay. So give me an idea. Let's just talk about secondary, grades 7 through 12. How many teachers for science did you have from grade 7 to grade 12?
I only had 2.
2 that taught you all of the science classes that you mentioned.
Yeah, so in junior high, I had one teacher that taught me 7th through 8th grade, and then for high school, I had one teacher teach me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that also true for your math classes?
No, actually, math was a little different. So for junior high, I did have one teacher who taught me, basic math in my 7th and 8th grade years. And then I kept switching around. So my first year was a different teacher than my sophomore year, which was different than my junior year, which was also different from my senior year.
So you had 4 different teachers in high school for math?
Yeah.
And that includes your concurrent enrollment college classes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we know that STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. Mm-hmm. And we've covered science and math so far.
Yeah.
Can you describe what kind of technology or engineering options were available to you?
I actually didn't have any of those options available to me.
So you had no resources to tap into if you wanted to take those classes?
It would have been very difficult because I would have had to go over a program called Waves.
What is Waves?
It's basically like Skyping except with classrooms. So what it is you have a camera and a microphone, and the teacher's over in like a different city with their own camera microphone, and you're just looking at them over like a television screen. Basically.
And that's fairly common for rural students, correct?
Yeah.
If you want to take some other class beyond what's offered at your school.
Yeah.
Were there any technology or engineering courses that you knew about offered that way?
No.
Okay. All right. So looking back now, you've completed your first year of college. What opportunities do you wish had existed for you that would have been helpful to go into a STEM field like you're doing?
What opportunities do I wish would have been helpful to me? So I actually would have loved to do some career shadowing. And I kind of did do this. I went to a science camp in between my junior and senior year for about 6 weeks. And I did get some exposure to molecular biology, but I had to really go out of my way to find that. I think it also would have been nice just to have more science classes available to me, not necessarily even over waves, because that is kind of difficult to learn that way. I just think it would have been nicer to have more options available at my school.
Which, if I heard you correctly, means we would have had to have more teachers available to teach that.
That would have been nice.
Okay. What's one thing you believe rural schools can do, given their resources? You grew up in one. What can they do to engage students who have STEM interests better? One thing.
What can they do to engage students with STEM interests better? Just one thing.
Just one.
Okay. I felt like science wasn't as necessarily important at my school. I still enjoyed learning science, but it was definitely secondary to some other classes that were taken.
So emphasizing the science
Mhm.
options, opportunities more.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So the way we've arranged this, Alexis is going to ask me some questions now about the job that I do and what that might offer in terms of opportunities. So your turn.
All right, so the first question is, what type of work do you do that intersects with STEM?
So as a gifted and talented coordinator, I work with 12 rural school districts, one of which is the school district where you guys go to school. A total of about 4,000 students across those districts. And what I've found is that a lot of my job is not just for gifted students, it's for high ability and providing opportunities for them to have actual access to STEM classes. So like you mentioned before, there were not any technology or engineering options. And one thing I've done to try and alleviate that is offer what I'm calling infusion classes. But they're 8-week mini courses that are self-paced. So students are paced by the week. It fits wherever it can in their schedule. It does not rely on the wave system you described, which means it has to fit in a certain class period. But instead, a student knows they have to get lesson 1 done in week 1. And then they have 8 weeks to touch base. And there is a teacher on the other end of that, as well as classroom teacher support for problem solving. But it's meant to provide those students who might be ahead or who might be able to work faster in their topics, engagement with other STEM opportunities. So for example, we have an Edison robots class for 3rd to 6th graders. We have a digital design class for high schoolers. We also have an online robotics coding class that is compatible with Lego Mindstorms. So if kids have access to that during the summer, or if they're able to have access in their own home, they're actually getting some of that instruction online as well that they can immediately apply in front of them. So it's one way to engage students or give them at least some exposure to what options could exist out there.
Okay, great. Thank you.